Hello, everyone. This is not good news today. The stock market is doing what a lot of us were talking about here on YouTube, and it's all coming true. It Some people would say it started last week. Some people would say it started all the way back in September of last year, and I think there's some validity to all of that. We're going to go over some of the things that's been going on that's causing the stock market to go down so much and what's going down, what I've sold and when I sold it, uh, some of the things that I've lost money on during this time. And I'd like to say that my heart goes out to every one of you who are losing money right now or have lost a lot of money. And uh, I know that the last few Sundays that I have made some predictions that did come true on some stocks that did make money, and I'm glad I could do that. And not really predictions. I would say I did share my thoughts on what might happen with those stocks, and they did end up doing what I thought they were going to do. So it seems like predictions. But then none of this is financial advice, and I'm not making predictions. And please don't copy what I do or make investments based on what I say here, because as you'll see here during this live, I'm going to show you some of the things that I've lost money on just today. And so it happens to me too. And if you're trying to copy what I'm doing, then you might copy something I lose money on rather than copy something I make money on. I don't want you to do that. I want you to do your own research and use your own trading strategy and hopefully make more money than I do. But it would be nice, like I've done in a lot of things, to learn from other people's mistakes. So if we can all go on here without fear of being sued and for being copied and somebody losing money, we can learn from each other's mistakes. Now, what's going on with the stock market today is it started out really terrible. I got up early this morning because there were still some things that I hadn't sold yet that I wanted to unload, because my strategy here in selling some of these things at a loss, and like I said, I'm not intending this to be advice or any kind of suggestion. Just for me and myself, I've sold some of these things intending to buy back in later when they're even lower and miss out on some of that loss in between, because I don't think you should be buying. I don't think that I should be buying anything that I don't have high conviction in. Now, I have bought some before, purely speculative stuff, uh, thinking that it was going to go up in the short term and then get out while it was up. And luckily, I, I hit a home run on every one of those so far. Well, not every one. I wouldn't say that because there's probably something I'm forgetting about. Yeah. Um, like the thing with AMC, when I was making lots of money on the AMC, and then suddenly starting with Robinhood, and then I was trading on TD Ameritrade at the time, another platform and another platform suddenly stopped the ability to buy for everyone. They just blocked the ability to buy, which forced a plummet in that stock so fast that I couldn't get out fast enough to keep from losing money. So I did lose money on that. But I've never even heard of that happening before. I wasn't prepared for that they're blocking the buying of the stock just blindsided me, and there was nothing I could do to stop losing on that. And I don't know still to this day how you would prevent that, because you know the platforms, now that they've done that, know that they can do that and get away with it. And but anyhow, what we're going over here is why. One of the reasons why is this happening? Well, we've had some catalysts, some negative catalysts here for quite a while. One of which is the growing problem with inflation. Of course, the Vix Fear Index is way up. Let's see what that is right now. Refresh that page. It is up to, well, it actually dipped a little bit, so the fear has declined some. We may have had some recovery in the stock market since that happened, but we're still way up. The fear index is up 57.92%, the VIX, in the past 5 days. And today, it's still up 18%, even at this point. It was up as high as 37.81 at 9:20 a.m. and is at least has receded a little bit to 34.32. Let's see how Tesla's doing. Tesla's the only stock I still own right now. Well, it's not the only stock. I reduced my position in most of the other stocks to like one stock. And I'll tell you everything that I sold here in just a minute in the past day. And this doesn't include all the stuff that I've sold since August of last year, but it does include the things that I still had that I still needed to sell. That I was looking at everything this weekend, and I was saying I decided this, there was just not going to be another chance for me to sell anything at any better prices. And so between Friday and Monday, I decided that I was just going to have to unload some things at a loss and maybe get back in later, but at least stop the hemorrhaging. And if any of you have had the same situation where you still had some stuff you haven't sold and you just had to stop the hemorrhaging, let me know in the comments. Even Tesla's down. Tesla is down to 883. It's sub 900 right now. It's awful. Everything's just looking really terrible right now. We've got another catalyst was the Fed's threat of tapering, and they did indeed start tapering in November and threatening more tapering and threatening to raise the interest rates. And I guess threat's really not the bad word. They were warning us that they were going to be doing this, and some estimates were they were going to do 3 small raises of the interest rates this year. Some estimates were as much as 5 or 6. But I think most consensus that I was reading was around 4 small 0.25% interest rates. And of course, a lot of the banks went ahead and raised rates on like home loans and stuff like that. So we had that as a negative catalyst pushing down the entire market and causing this fear index to go up a bit. And so that has a lot to do with what's going on right now. In my opinion, I'm not an expert, so don't take any of this as fact. This is just my speculation from my limited experience for just a couple of years that I've been trading, and with real money of my money that I work for. That will make you learn really quickly. You start getting some skin in the game, and believe me, you'll learn really fast. Next, slowing economic growth and continued inflation at the same time. Now, this is what is called stagflation. And let me read off the definition of stagflation here to you so that I get this accurately. Stagflation is persistent high inflation combined with high unemployment and stagnant demand in a country's economy. It doesn't seem like we should have high unemployment right now. It doesn't seem like we should have people without jobs right now, because so many businesses are struggling to get workers in to do the work. I mean, it seems like there's hiring signs everywhere. But if you'll notice, some of the hiring signs where they're claiming, oh, $15 an hour, starting at $14 an hour, or, and if you read the fine print, up to $15 an hour, some of them have started backing off on that. And now they're saying $14 an hour, $13 an hour, $12 an hour, which tells me they're not quite as desperate for workers as they were before. And so we're starting to see some of that relax, but we've still got a lot of people that still aren't working for whatever reason. And some of them, it's, well, I'm not going to speculate on why, because, I mean, who knows? This is a really individual thing. And there's some overlying, just like the stock market, there's some things that affect everybody, but there's always a lot of things that affect every individually. Just like there's these overall market problems with the inflation and the rising interest rates and stuff like that affects the market as a whole, there's still just as many factors affecting these stocks individually on an individual basis. So we could just spend hours and hours speculating on why so many people are not back at work. And we don't want to get into that. The fact is that a lot of people are out of work right now, and there's inflation at the same time. That is called stagflation. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of experts disagree right now on whether we're in stagflation or not. But I'm going to trade as if we are, because to me, it looks like stagflation. It's looked like stagflation was coming or here for months now. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better. I mean, think about it this way. What's the Fed going to do? I mean, they've already printed a whole bunch of money. They're looking at, we can go ahead and raise the rates like we said we were going to do to fight inflation, but that's going to hurt the economy. Or we can back off on that. That might help the growth of the economy, but it's going to worsen the inflation. So no matter what they do, something's going to get worse. And that's just my speculation. I'm not presenting that as a fact. But you let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with that. And if you have any extra evidence that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just want to agree with something I did mention here or disagree with something I mentioned here, then please mention that in the comments too. Now, one of the things I did want to warn you of is to be on the lookout for bull traps right now. Because, yeah, things are going down, but they don't just go down. There will be some bounces up in a lot of these stocks and a lot of these ETFs. And you'll want to watch out for that, because there could be dead cat bounces or bull traps. And I personally am not going to be buying anything right now, because I don't want to be caught in a bull trap or a dead cat bounce. And then, see, I put what I mean by that. If you don't know what dead cat bounces or bull traps are, that means it looks like the stock has bounced, it's coming back up, you buy in at the much lower prices, because there's so many things at much lower prices right now. We're about to get into some of that. And so many of these things are at much lower prices. They look really juicy dips. But if I were to buy something right now, I have a feeling that all it's going to do is going to go up a little bit. It's going to look like confirmation. I'll buy it, and then it's going to go right back down, but it's going to go down even further than it was before. And that's a losing game for me. Every time I've tried to do that, I lose on it. So I'm not at the level of competency right now to be trading in a bearish market like this. I don't think that I could do it, and I wouldn't recommend it. Now, as far as some of the things that I've sold right now, there's a lot. There's a lot, but luckily most of these things were at lower quantities by the time this weekend came around, and I was just selling off the smaller quantities of what I had left. But there's some losses here. So if you're losing money and you lost some money due to what's happening right now, don't feel alone. Um, I sold SPY at I think 436. It looks like, and it was a negative 4%. But let's see if that was the proper thing to do. Would I have lost more if I hadn't sold SPY at 436? Excuse me. Oh yeah, I failed to mention that one of the reasons these things are happening right now is that last week a lot of panic came from the fact that Netflix lost 29% in 5 days, and Amazon, and I didn't own any of these stocks when that was happening. So this isn't some of the stuff that I lost money on. Man, it's really going up and down today. Amazon lost 12% in the past 5 days. And so that scared a lot of people. But let's see where SPY is sitting at. I sold SPY. Stock price today. It is at 426. So yes, I sold at 436. That's a full $10 lower now than it was when I sold my last few shares of that early this morning. I got up early and started selling anything that I hadn't already sold, just about anything. And I even sold some Tesla this morning, which turned out to be right too, because it's even lower than it was. And I intend to buy back into that when I get a chance, but I'm going to try to get it at the as close to the bottom as I possibly can. But who knows where the bottom is right now with what's going on? I mean, who knows when it's going to end? Because it seems like the lower it goes, the more scared people get and the more they sell. And the more that happens, the more afraid everybody else gets, and it's just snowballing. It's the downward spiral, and it's just getting worse. So Facebook, I still had some Facebook, and I sold it at 303. It was a 9% loss when I sold it. Let's see how much of a loss it would be if I still had it right now. All right, if I was still hanging on that, it would have been another 2%, because it's at 294 right now. So it did indeed continue to go down. So I was right that was going to continue to go down, and it was right that I sold it. Goggle is something that I like to play with because they're a good company that's making money, and they've got a really good dividend to share some of that money with the stockholders. And it does move pretty good. It's got some the volatility that I like. I know a lot of people bag on volatility. They don't like volatility. Well, if it's not a buy and hold forever stock, then I actually like volatility in it, because then that gives me room to trade. If it's that should be a whole nother video. Goggle, it was 825 when I sold it. It's down to 777 now. So I wasn't wrong to sell that one either. It was, if anything, these things I should have sold the rest of them sooner. And I'd already sold quite a bit of this at an even higher price. So I actually, except for this last bit of goggle that I sold, I actually sold at a profit. So I did pretty good on that. I mean, I think it was like 7% profit and 9% profit on my other sales on this. And I just had like 50 shares left and sold it at 825. And as you can see, it went 6% today, down 6%. That's to 776. I lost 4% on the 50 shares that I sold, but I would have lost a lot more had I held on to it. CHPT, and I hope you didn't lose any more on this stuff. And CHPT is I sold it at 1280. It's at 1161 now. So more than $1 lower than what, and I lost 14% when I sold it at 1280. So I would have lost even more if I'd have hung on to it. Now, Nvidia, which is ticker symbol NVDA. Nvidia was at 227 when I sold it. It's down to 218 now, 218 and 28 cents. It's down 6% on the day. Oh, man, it just dropped to 217. Ouch. I lost 20% when I sold it at 227. So you can imagine probably over 25% I would have lost if I'd have tried to hang on to it any longer, which luckily I didn't have much of it. Like I said, I've been reducing my positions and completely out of certain stocks for quite some time now. It is Silvo. This is another one that's lots of dividends. It's not really a lot of good fundamentals or anything. It's just a small amount of money I play around with because the dividends force a lot of volatility in this thing. And I think it's not even a stock or an ETF. It might be an ETN by Credit Suisse or Credit Suisse, however you pronounce that. It was at 514 when I sold it. Well, it's only down to 511. So it hasn't fallen that much since I sold it. I only lost 4% when I sold it, and it looks like it's only dropped another percent. So not too bad. It was still right to sell it because I missed out on another percentage loss, but not terrible. Not terrible. All right, SoFi. This is probably going to be ugly. Oh man, SoFi. I'm thinking this is going to be really ugly. I sold at $13.40. I was at a 12% loss when I was finally like, this just is not going to bounce. And I'm going to have to get out. And that was $13.40. And it's down to $12.16. Lost another more than $1. And it's at a 12% loss today so far. $1.74 it's lost. Now, it was in the early hours of this morning when I was selling it. So there's a little discrepancy between the $1.74 that it's lost today and the dollar and whatever I lost on it, which is less than $1.70 because I hadn't sold it right away. I'd put in an order to sell it, but it dropped so fast that my order didn't go through, and I had to change my sell order. I had to drop my sell order and to catch it. So it's like it's trying to struggle out of a barrel while it's rolling down a hill. It's not pretty. So USDP, let's see how See if I was right to sell that. I sold the USDP early this morning. The last of it I had quite a bit of USDP, and I really didn't want to let go of it. But I sold it at just over $5. So let's see, it went down to 537 and bounced back up to 545. But it was a dead cat bounce. It was a bull trap because it went back down to 541 and it's still going down. That's why I'm telling you, look out for these bull traps today. I mean, these dead cat bounces, because I took a 12% loss on this to get out of it, and it's gone down another 2.35% today. So I avoided about 2% loss, down 13% since this morning. Overall, it's been down a little bit further. It's not quite as down as it was, so we just have to watch it and see what happens to know for sure whether I was right to get out of this or not, because a lot of things could happen between now and the end of the day. So it could turn out that it goes a lot lower, which is what I think is going to happen. I'm not buying back in right now. I think it'll go a lot lower, but we'll see at the end of the day. It could go a little bit higher. It could prove me wrong. I mean, I'm thinking most everything is going to go lower. IRM, but these are not predictions. This is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm trading and why I'm trading it for, my own thoughts for my trading, not for yours. Iron Mountain. I really wish you better trading than me, even though overall, by the end of the year, I've made money. I mean, I don't want you to think that I'm losing on everything and everything I do, just for me being transparent and sharing my losses here. But Iron Mountain, I actually made money on Iron Mountain selling it this morning. I still had a 20% gain on Iron Mountain, even though it was down, because I had bought in at such a good price. But I didn't want to lose any more of my gains than I'd already lost. At one point, I was up over 30% on this, and I still had 20% profits, unrealized profits there, that I sold and realized those profits at $43.30. I was right to let go of that at that point, because it is down to $42.82 now. That's around 50 cents. And indeed, it says here that there has been a 51-cent drop, 1.18% drop today so far. Now, it's made one of these bounces too. It was down, you can see on the graph, it was down as far as 42.21, bounced back up to 42.99, which was almost at my sale price. And then it dropped back down again. And it's been, twitching a bit since then, twitching like a fish out of water. So it looks like a dead cat bounce or a bull trap. It kind of looks like when you pull that fish out on your string and it drops on the ground and it's just flopping around. I mean, but who knows? Who knows whether this will recover? And Iron Mountain is such a I'm really impressed with the fundamentals on this company, Iron Mountain. And I really like the amount of money they make and their profitability and everything. I think it's a very well-managed company, and they're into some really good stuff. If I remember right, they are mining. And let's see here. Well, I need to just make a separate video on Iron Mountain and go over with you because it's been a little while since I've done my research on it, and I need to get reacquainted with a lot of the reasons why I bought into this company, and especially now because I'm going to need to buy it back in later when they if they continue to drop like I think they're going to with everything else. At some point, I'm going to want to buy back in, and I'm going to want to not only do my research to remind myself of things that I've forgotten, but a lot of things change. I mean, every company, there's a lot of things that change very quickly. And so you need to, no matter how great they were doing 3 months ago, you need to see how well they're doing now, because everything can change. Like, what's that song in the New York Minute? Everything can change. This market is definitely proof of that. Now, let's see what we've got here. Moving on from Iron Mountain, we've got Gree. Gree is something, I bought something else and they got bought out, and then I got stuck with this Gree stuff and I hated it, and I don't like the company fundamentals, and it's a crypto mining thing. I don't like the crypto miner company. If I was going to buy a crypto miner, I would have bought something else, but the company that I had bought, Gree bought it. I wasn't paying enough attention to what was going on. I should have sold out of it before they got bought out. It's just a big mess. It was one of my big mistakes that taught me to really, really don't buy anything unless you're planning on really paying attention to that company and what's going on with that company. Don't just set it and forget it on individual stocks. I mean, I'm talking to myself here. I mean, this is what I learned from my mistake on Gree. It's just really bad to take your eye off the ball. It's individual stock. If now I still believe in dollar cost averaging into an ETF that you have, high conviction in. Like the VFIAX, which even that I sold out of for right now because I'm watching the S&P 500 and everything go down, and I think it's going to continue to go down. I don't see how the Fed is going to save us from this time. I just don't see that much of a way out. But Gree, I sold at $11.90, and let's see what it's doing. Watch it be the only thing going up right now. That would be weird, but stranger things have happened. Nope, I was right to sell that. It was at $11.90. I took a 63% loss on this crap. 63% loss. Yeah, I got a real bad taste in my mouth from Gree. $11.90 I sold this stuff, and it's down 10.28. So it did continue to go down. I don't see how I could have got out of this any better. The peak on the graph, the top peak on the graph was 11.05, and I got out at 11.90. So there was no way I could have got out at any better. It was just going to be a loss no matter where I exited. And so I'm glad I got out when I got out. Oh, Robinhood. I had got this when it was plummeting because I'm thinking, oh, buy the dip. No. It was not at the bottom when I thought it was at the bottom. And it's probably still not at the bottom now. Hood. Oh, Robinhood. Well, it's probably the most hated platform right now for what they did to people. They did it first. Yep, I sold at $12.75, thinking it was just going to keep going down, and indeed it did keep going down. It's down to $11.75 so far, almost 10% down on the day. Geez, I'm embarrassed to say how much I lost on this. I lost 54% on this. Okay, moving on to Palantirs, another horrible loss. And this was a recent purchase, thinking that it was hitting a bottom, or at least was going to bounce a couple more times before going down again. I was going to short-term trade this thing a little bit. Big mistake. I sold at 13. It's down to 1208. It wasn't a mistake to sell at 13. It was a mistake to buy it in the first place. 38% loss I took on this thing just to get rid of it. Palantir, you've done me so bad. All right. Now we get into crypto. Oh, crypto. My crypto holdings, I sold them too. I sold my crypto holdings. Matic, I sold that at 1.5078. Let's see what Matic's doing now. Was I right to sell out of Matic this morning? Did it continue to go down? We are about to find out. It is at 1.41. So yes, it did continue to go down. And I took a 30% loss to get out of this. So will I buy back in? Well, yeah, I think if conditions are right, I'm certainly going to be watching it with the intention of buying back in. Whether I'll actually do it or not, it's going to depend on, what happens in the future. And I really don't know at this point. Ethereum is the same situation. Ethereum, I sold at 4.32. ETH. Let's see what it's doing right now. Oh. No. Not at 4. Ethereum, I sold at 2372.12. 2372.12. It is at 2285.16. So yes, it did continue to drop. Oh my gosh, man, it went down 10% today. I sold these yesterday because it was still open. I didn't have to do these early in the morning because, crypto you can sell on the weekends. And so I did. But oh my gosh, another 10% loss I would have incurred if I hung on to it. I'm glad I got out from under that. Now Bitcoin, BTC, not Bitcoin Cash, but Bitcoin is what I had. And I finally sold it. And it went down another 5% today, it says. I sold it 30. Now, what is it? 34,990 is what it was at. It's at 34,474. So yes, it did continue to go down after I sold it. So it seems like it was correct for me to sell that. Shiba Inu, Shiba XM. I sold that at, looks like 2105. Is that right? It is at 0.00002, something that says 0%, like it hasn't moved at all. I have to confirm that looking on my eToro. But that is, well, I did sell some Tesla too. I sold some at a loss, just enough to get out, make sure that I have zero margin at all. And I cannot have a margin call at this point because I don't have any margin. So I can't be forced to sell anything at an even greater loss. All right, welcome to the chat, Mountain of Inspiration. Thank you for being here. I hope you don't have a bunch of stuff in the market today losing money right now. And thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate it very much. Anyway, I don't have anything else here in my notes. Let me look at I thought I had I must have closed that tab. Let me get it open again. The stock screener I use, FinViz. And we'll see just how, let's take a look real quick too, before we move on to that. What is Tesla doing? Because it's the only thing I have. Well, it's not the only stock I still have right now. And it's certainly not the only ETF I have right now. I still have some money in the VFIX and in the Tesla and several other stocks, but I've got my position down in the other stocks down to very, very tiny positions, much, much smaller than my VFIX and much smaller than my Tesla. And, yep. I actually have did so well at getting rid of my margin. I actually have some cash setting aside right now. It's not in the market at all. So that's good. And Tesla's down 874, 873. It's ugly. Everything's ugly. Yeah, everything else, I'm looking right here. Everything else I did manage to reduce to just almost nothing. And we're talking like less than, I think, $60 in this and that and the other, besides the Tesla, of course, and the VFIX. And yes, they are dropping, but I sold some of them as much as I feel comfortable selling with them. But I think if anything's going to make a little bit of a rally, it would be Tesla when the earnings come out. But I'm not convinced that it's going to happen, because there was so much of a rally when they announced how well they beat the estimates on production, and there was such a rally there that might have been the rally, so the earnings report may turn out to be a nothing burger. I mean, it may be like, if it's great, which I think it's going to be, is everybody might just be like, meh, yeah, we knew that was going to be great. And if it's bad in any way, just the teeniest way, then it's going to be more plummet. So, but none of this is fact. It's just speculation. So don't trade on what you hear on a YouTube channel. I mean, all right, I got FinViz here, and I'm looking, and everything's looking just as ugly as it was last week when I was looking at this. And Microsoft's down 4%, Google's down almost 3%, Amazon down 2%. This is according to FinViz. Apple 2.6, and then of course we got ads popping up, blocking, and reminding me of my car part buying addiction. Trying to sell me more car parts. They know what my weakness is. Oh my gosh, it looks like every sector is down. Every sector, and all the graphs just look like camel humps. And we're in the down part of the camel humps. That is not a true technical term. It's just one of my sayings. You know, it looks like a mountain range, and you're coming down the edge of the mountain range. It's just everything. That doesn't look like there's any place to run or hide. There's no place to put your money that's going up. I mean, what is this that says it's up like 2%? 1 day performance color indicates stock. Nope, I was wrong. I don't see anything up. Oh my gosh. It looks really ugly. I just really feel for anybody that's still got a lot of money in this. I mean, I feel for myself having some in Tesla, but I know Tesla will eventually come back. And I did sell some of it, so I don't have all of the Tesla that I did have. And let's see what Webull says about it. I like the little Webull charts and everything. I find the Webull charts really easy to read. Webull saying that Tesla's at 868, 869. Oh my gosh, 868, 74 cents. Let's see what it says about the VFIX. VFIX down 406. Ow. 406 on the, and it was just up in the 430s. Went from 430 to 406, and I think that's where I sold that. 430 something. Where's it? Oh man, it's not on my notes. I'm going to have to go back in the computer because I have this long list of notes here where what I sold and how much I sold it for, like a cheat sheet, so that I can have it sitting here while I'm watching the carnage and getting ready to buy back in. Because I mean, how do you recover your losses if you never buy back in? So my strategy here is, if you didn't hear me earlier in the live, is that, you know, even all these things that I hadn't sold between October of last year and now, that I finally begrudgingly sold at a loss. The plan is, I'm not telling you to do this, the plan for me to do is to, not financial advice, is for me to put this money back in when I think everything has bottomed out. I'm just going to watch it fall, keeping track of everything that I sold and what prices I sold it at, how much of a loss I took, and try to buy back in as close to the bottom bounce as possible so that I can ride it back up and regain my losses and maybe make some profit eventually as it comes back up. While I'm out right now, I've sold it, avoiding incurring any more losses. So if I never buy back in, and I learned this the hard way, the last crash in March, I had quite a bit in the VFIX, and as it was going down, I did the right thing. According to my strategy, I sold out as it was going down. It was a little bit further down than it is now, and I sold out. I missed a lot of those losses, but then it bounced and it came back up, and I just kept thinking it was a bull trap, kept thinking it's a bull trap, kept thinking it was a dead cat bounce, something like that. But it wasn't. It just kept going up, and I didn't get back in time. I didn't buy back in time, and I just watched it go rise and rise and rise and go back up without me. I should have got back in earlier, and I'm going to try not to make that mistake this time. I'm thinking we're going to have, and this is not a promise, but I'm thinking we're going to have a big drop, much bigger drop than what we're seeing right now. There's going to be a much lower bottom than what we're seeing right now. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get in at a much lower price on everything that I sold, and ride it back up this time the way I wished I had done back in March. Now, that's not to say I didn't hit a home run on several things. I did. I'm not just, complaining here. I'm very thankful and very grateful for all the trades that I did between then and now that I made money on. It's awesome. It's wonderful, and I appreciate it. But, I'm just trying not to repeat mistakes that I made in the past. I'm trying to learn from them and do better and be a better trader. And I'm trying to share my journey with you in hopes that, you'll find some comfort in the fact that you're not the only one that's struggling here, and maybe learn something from my mistakes too. Hopefully you'll share some things from your mistakes and everything. And, and, uh, and we'll grow together and make more money together, be more successful than we would have been if I hadn't done this. Well, that's all I've got for today, other than I will be spending a lot of time today watching the carnage and seeing things go down, but also will be spending a lot of time avoiding it and just, boxing up my stuff for eBay sales and boxing up other things for like Facebook Marketplace sales, and maybe listing a few more things for sale and to keep the eBay and the Facebook sales going. And whatever else I can do to make money, I'll do some more research and some more learning and educating myself so that I can make better trades. And I wish you the best in the worst of times, and hang in there, guys. Hang in there. This insane amount of carnage in the market right now, and I hope you're avoiding a lot of it. Till the next video, I wish you all insane growth and insane success.